Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are on episode 47, and in the last episode, well, we saw a lot of stuff go on. Also, I realized this is a little too small. There we go. We saw a lot of stuff happen. I don't remember because the last time I filmed was like 10 days ago. Yeah, I just took a little break. Sorry about that. Um, I just wanted to kind of take a break from mapping a little bit because it does get repetitive. Going to make a short of the whoever the short the comments change the map. And also I did have a fantasy Wixa recorded. Um but the recording was corrupted, so I'm just gonna have to make it different or just go from there because yeah, it just corrupted. And it was a very short episode anyway, so it not like it matters too much. Also, if you couldn't tell, I'm a little sick. Oh yeah, the Arabian Union. This is already a fan favorite for me. Anyways, let's go ahead and start this video. And I'm not actually sure where to start it. Actually, I am sure. The Georgian country is gonna go ahead and go ahead. They're gonna just invade the yellow Azerbaijani country. Remember, they used to be a union with these guys called the Caucasian Union. However, that no longer exists anymore. Good for them, I guess. I don't really know. And well, they just get a lot of land. This yellow Caucasian, it never really built up military at all. The capital is taken, and the whole country just capitulates within probably a couple of months. The Jordan country is way more stronger, and well, of course, they get fully annexed into the Georgian Empire, which is going to make some countries around the Georgian Empire very not friendly, and they're gonna start to go on other alliances, meaning, the Cross Alliance. So let's go ahead and see which nations join the Cross Alliance and which nations don't. The Iranian team right here is going to go ahead and join the Cross Alliance, as well as this country right here, because, well, this country is very small, and for this one, they just want to prevent this threat over here up north. I guess also down south, too. But the Arabian Union is going to go ahead and join in on the Cross Alliance as well, which is a bad thing. You might think that this country isn't that strong due to it mostly being in the desert, but it actually is pretty strong, surprisingly. And it will go on a spree and ask people, do you want to join our union? They ask Eritrea, and Eritrea says yes, surprisingly. Even though they're not in Arabia, they still join it because, well, they see this as just a opportunity for just a big, powerful country that has a lot of say within their government. Even Yemen joins it, surprisingly, which is very surprising for this country. They did not think Yemen would join, and this country is growing very rapidly, and that's good for them, I guess. Coming over here to Nigeria, they actually are released by the Ghanese, or the Ghanis, whatever, the Ghana people. They're released, and, well, they get fully released. But they had to stay within the Cross Alliance, because who knows what they would do if they didn't. Coming over here in the Ottoman area, we see a very interesting event happen, which is a sudden color change of a country, that being this country, who has elected somebody who wants to form an ancient empire that used to exist. This country soon turns fascist, and people will start to realize this guy is going to go on a conquest, and that he will do. No countries around him are a part of these cross alliance except for Greece and this country right here. So they're gonna go on a conquest, first invading this blue country, and it actually goes pretty well. A lot of manpower is poured into this, and the equipment they're using is surprisingly a lot better than the blue team's equipment, as they take the capital, and this country is fully taken by the Ottomans. Full annexation as well. But then they go ahead and make their invasion of the Red Country, and with great statistics and great everything on their front line, they managed to encircle the capital of the Red Turkish country and take all of the coast and eventually capture the capital due to good military strategics and they take this whole country, occupying it for actually a couple more weeks than they probably should, until they eventually fully annex it. And well, this is a big, big problem for the Middle East. And it's an even bigger problem as well. These capitals, none of these capitals are actually going to remain the same, and it's actually going to go ahead and be in the former capital of the Ottoman Empire. Yes, this is the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans are back in action, and they, well, surprisingly, don't have too much people worrying about it. Only the cross alliances, and they're going to start invading it, right? Until something bad happens. These guys are going to go ahead and join the Circle Alliance. And, well, due to the fact that these guys are about to get invaded by a certain somebody, being Greece, and they get invaded, causes the whole Circle Alliance and the whole Cross Alliance to go to war. This was something that was eventually at least gonna happen. It was just a matter of time who would start it and when and why. Let's go ahead and start this mess in the Americas. Obviously, nobody was prepared for this, so everybody's kind of freaked out when they hear the news. So, the Lime team over here in New York or slash New Jersey is gonna really, really focus on the Michiganders, as they know the Brown team is gonna focus down south, and they need to focus on the Michiganders before they ready up, because the Michiganders are a very strong country. They have a lot of population, a lot more than you probably would think, and well, they need to get knocked out of the war eventually. But the Michiganders were aware of the military operation. They just didn't know that it would cause a world war. So they do have some military on standby, which relieves the capital from any invasion coming down south slash west, or not west, east. So, like I said, the Brown team is focused down south, and they're focused on this Carolinian or the Florida Union, and they take pretty much all the South Carolina and slash Georgia area, and really start to focus on this country as they take a lot more land. Now, remember, this is an elf country being invaded. These guys are still elves, and it's surprising. And the Brown team is committing a horrible act to the elves. They are trying to exterminate them and replace them with brown teamy humans. It's not good. They even do this up north. Now, they can't do this up north because Michigan is human, but they invade up north, and yeah, they're just not doing good things to the people of this country, of these countries that they're invading. And we could see that a lot of the world is starting to turn against them, not like they were already against them after, the whole Madagascar conflict. Surprisingly, the pick team is able to make an invasion into California before they can really get stopped. And they get stopped right about there. Actually, no, right about here, as eventually their lines are stopped, and California has people on the front line. Surprisingly, the Gold Country, though, was aware of this, and they start invading very quickly into the Purple Mexican country, because they know they are a weaker country than the Purple Mexican country. They want to weak this guy enough until, well, any more stuff could happen. Coming down over here to South America, we could see a lot of stuff happening in this front line right here, as the Cross Alliance surprisingly makes an invasion into this green country up here. But that's just the Cross Alliance is a stronger country, or the light heel country is a stronger country than this northern Brazilian country. However, they are more native to the southern region right here, so they will probably push back eventually, and they actually will do that and do pretty good in doing that. I just said doing that like 5 times. I don't know why I'm doing that. So Peru's gonna mainly focus on Bolivia. They want to really knock them out. They realize Bolivia is not a very strong country, and they really want to knock them out as fast as they can of this war. And they do focus on these southern regions, as they feel that that is the most important regions of this country. Who knows if that is correct? I don't live in Bolivia, so who knows? They do make a small invasion. Now, they really do have to split their forces because they're really kind of occupied in this whole area. And while the Ecuadorians they do make a small push from the Amazon rainforest, not sure why they're doing that, but they are. Cool. All this while French Guiana is invading regular Guyana. And yeah, just not going well for these countries if you couldn't tell. It's just a huge bloodbath is happening everywhere. So while Colombia is invading Ecuador and actually doing very well as they're just taking a lot of land actually, and they can circle this whole area and take it, the Colombians are also getting invaded by the Venezuelans. So it's just kind of a whole chess match. Who can beat who faster? Um, I'm not sure who would do this, but there is our Americas for now. Let's go on over to the most important continent. Well, maybe not, because there's also Africa and Asia. Asia is a really important place. But let's just focus over the huge western front line, except the Dutch, against the huge eastern front line. I feel like I've seen this before in real life. I'm sorry, I gotta say this, but these guys, Poland and Bulgaria, are just touching tips right here. I had to say. Also, say hi to the founder of fascism right here. Great job you did there. The Dutch are gonna go ahead and be prepared, invade the southern French, the northern French up here. I guess you could also call that Paris, even though Paris is like more down here. A great team down south here is actually making a name for itself in Poland, as they actually take a good amount of land, surprisingly, pretty fast. And the Dutch are like, what are you doing? And the Swedes are like, what are you doing? Oh, they should really be focused on their own problems up north. This would definitely be an interesting front line, but I think that due to the fact that the Greeks are focused on this whole front line, they would definitely get pushed back over here in the north. And I think they would hold their ground against Bulgaria and maybe even make a slight push in, just to make a better front line for everybody to fight. Good thing done by you. These guys, the what is this, the Bosnians, they're gonna make their invasion of the northern Italians, and they conquer Venice. So good for them. Bad for the whole Cross Alliance. Though. Honestly, I don't even know who would have win. Now, over here in the Middle Eastern front line, especially the Sinai area, these guys are just gonna get swept through. Their capital is taken. They weren't ever a very fascist or good, strong fascist country, and their whole peninsula gets taken. Well, their whole country gets taken. But the Circle Alliance is here to save the day, as they do resurrect some of it. Only in the northern parts, though. They should really focus on this whole threat right here up north. And, well, coming back to the area where it all started, if Pate.net's gonna, okay. Coming to where it all started, the Ottomans weren't prepared for this at all, and they just get invaded through the whole former blue country that was right here. Um, but eventually do get stopped as, well, they don't, they just don't want to get fully ran through. Now, the Arabian Union is gonna, I'm sorry, but the Middle Eastern front line for the Circle Alliance isn't gonna go well, because there's just too many strong countries that are part of the Cross Alliance, and well, the capital of the Purple Team country is taken, and with that, there's and the coastline taken. There's nothing really left, so these guys are gonna go ahead and surrender. They didn't have to do that, but they did anyway. These guys are kind of screwed. The northern Indians are kind of screwed because they're surrounded by Tibet, but Tibet can't really do anything because mountain. These guys are here. Um, they're a big issue, and the elephant in the room is Sri Lanka. So the northern Indians and the yellow Indians, they have a plan which is to overtake Sri Lanka as a and then focus on their problems. So we can see that the yellow team is going to make their invasion into Sri Lanka, taking a lot of territory, and they're more incompetent than, well, they thought Sri Lanka would be. They did not think Sri Lanka would lose this much land this fast. But it's for something better, which is a better front line to fight. That is a very sticky out part of the Sri Lankans. So I'm also going to get rid of this front line, or this outline for the war, because it doesn't need to be here, as who knows, it could be changing. And changing it is as the Indians are invading. Not very much though, also that it is not the right color. There we go. Coming over here to this front line, it doesn't exist. So the Dark Scion team is gonna make it exist. And they're gonna say, hey green team, let me use your territory. And the green team's like, sure, so let's just count this as in that. And the Dark Scion team, it might look like they're not as strong as the pink team, but they're way strong, like way way stronger. They not only have this lake, but a lot of this population was former people from the blue country that used to exist over here. One of the first countries in Asia, if you remember. And yeah, this country barely has anything except like down here in this region. So they're gonna get invaded. Surprise, surprise. They're gonna get invaded, and well, this area gets cut off pretty much immediately because this area has nothing to offer. It's really only this and barely this. But eventually, Dark Signs are gonna have to stop at a point that looks like this, as the more populated areas are well coming. And now this is basically just the former green team that used to exist here. The green team down south in South China will start to invade into well the former Chinese people that used to exist here. And well, they just take a lot of these new countries' land that existed since like episode 41, and they're doing pretty good in it. However, they will stop at a point that looks just like that, because that's actually gonna go ahead and do it for today's video. I know it was well, it was 16 minutes, but it was a very important episode in the Wixo lore. So please subscribe, like, do all that. Sorry for the break. I was very sick. I also just didn't like want to record while I'm sick. So yeah, see you guys in